An armored car guard making $8 an hour stole $17 million in cash, forgot one security camera, left $3 million in the van because physics is hard, then watched his accomplices buy a mansion and pay for everything in crumpled 20s. The FBI needed 24 days. This is peak human evolution. David Gantt was a Gulf War veteran, working vault supervisor at Loomis Fargo in Charlotte, North Carolina. His job involved moving millions daily between banks. His salary? $8.15 per hour. The irony was so thick you could sell it as building insulation. Here's a man swimming in cash like Scrooge McDuck, except he couldn't afford the pool. Gantt was married. Regular suburban life. Wife? Bills. The crushing weight of mediocrity. No matter how hard he worked, poverty stayed attached like a loyal parasite. Every shift he'd watch millions flow through his hands while his credit cards screamed bloody murder in his wallet. The universe was basically bullying him professionally. Enter Kelly Campbell, former Loomis coworker. Attractive. Flirtatious. The kind of person who could convince penguins to buy ice. She and Gantt had workplace chemistry that continued after she quit. Their jokes about hating their jobs evolved from harmless venting to federal crime brainstorming. Character development nobody asked for. Campbell introduced Gantt to Steve Chambers, old high school buddy. Now Steve was special. He was a former FBI informant who'd ratted out criminals for pocket change. His brilliant next move? Become the criminal. It's like a food inspector opening a restaurant in a dumpster. The logic was breathtaking in its stupidity. Chambers was dodging charges for writing over $30,000 in bad checks. His solution to financial problems? Commit a federal heist worth millions. The problem-solving skills of a toddler with a flamethrower. But he had confidence, that dangerous breed of stupid that sounds like genius when delivered with a smile. The plan looked simple on paper, probably because it was written in crayon. Gantt empties the vault, loads a van, meets Chambers and Campbell, hands over the cash, flees to Mexico with a small cut. Chambers sends money periodically. Heat dies down. Gantt returns. Everyone splits millions. What could go wrong, except literally everything? Chambers learned his criminal strategy from Goodfellas and mob movies, because watching films about criminals getting caught is excellent research material for crime. His education system was a Netflix subscription. Harvard Business School was probably relieved they could say he didn't attend. October 4th, 1997. Showtime. Gantt sent home the young trainee at 6 p.m., claimed paperwork needed finishing. The kid left. Gantt stood alone in a vault with millions, and a decision that would haunt him forever. His brain's last chance to say, maybe don't, went unheard over the sound of bad life choices. Smoke. But lockup. Bowden autopunts. The platted gimmicks point and put of Zalt. He was holding it for a friend. Started loading cash into bags. 17.3 million, weighs over 3,000 pounds. Mostly $20 bills occupying 64 cubic feet. That's a small bathroom, filled entirely with money. The logistics alone should have triggered survival instincts. For over an hour, Gantt hauled bags like a very stupid pack mule. Huffing, puffing, sweating, loading a Ford Econoline van with enough cash to buy a small Caribbean island. His back filed for workers' compensation halfway through. Manual labor wasn't supposed to be part of his Ocean's 11 fantasy. Here's where Gantt truly shined. He disabled 2 security cameras, calculated blind spots, very meticulous, then completely forgot camera number 3. It recorded everything, every bag, every grunt, his face in high definition. The FBI basically got a nature documentary called Idiot in Natural Habitats. Campbell and Chambers arrived at the rendezvous, saw the van overflowing with cash, probably felt like winning the lottery, except the ticket was a felony. They started counting, celebrating. This was real. They'd actually done it. Then physics entered the chat like a bouncer checking IDs. 17 million in small bills doesn't compress well, shocking nobody who understands volume. They ran out of van space with 3.3 million still unpacked, so they abandoned it. Just left it there like loose change in a couch. $3 million treated with less care than expired coupons. In their excitement, they forgot the security tapes and the gun. Just left crime evidence scattered around like confetti after a party. It's the criminal equivalent of signing your name at the crime scene, then adding your phone number and best time to call. Campbell drove Gantt to Columbia Metropolitan Airport. The escape plan required flying to Atlanta, then Mexico. One microscopic problem. The airport was closed. Completely shut. Nobody verified operating hours during months of planning. Criminal masterminds with the organizational skills of drunk college freshmen. Alternative airport located. But Chambers refused to drive there. Too far, apparently. So Gantt took a taxi. A regular cab during a federal escape. Probably discussed weather and traffic with the driver while fleeing international law. The cabbie became an unwitting accomplice, charging by the mile. Gantt eventually reached Mexico with $25,000, his cut for stealing $17 million, roughly 0.15%. He negotiated worse than someone trading a Rolex for gum. But he was in Cancun, beaches, freedom, living the dream while the nightmare loaded its gun back home. Monday morning, October 5th. Loomis employees open the vault, discover millions vanished, one employee missing, David Gantt. The FBI's suspect identification process took longer than making instant coffee. Truly elite detective work. They probably celebrated solving it so quickly. Security footage revealed everything. That third camera Gantt forgot captured his entire crime in cinematic quality. Over an hour of theft documented with timestamps and multiple angles. Evidence so comprehensive it probably wrote its own police report. The jury could have watched it with popcorn. 2 days later, police found the abandoned van, still containing $3.3 million, just sitting there like forgotten groceries. The thieves left behind enough money to retire comfortably because they couldn't do basic spatial reasoning. This wasn't a heist failure, this was advanced stupidity with federal funding. In Mexico, Gantt lived carefully. Shopping, eating lobster, paying cash only, no credit card trails. He was cautious, methodical, a ghost enjoying retirement at 29. Meanwhile, his accomplices were speedrunning how to get arrested. Their strategy was performance art titled, "Please catch us immediately." October 6th, 2 days post-heist. Michelle Chambers walks into Nations Bank in Mount Holly, asks the teller about deposit limits that avoid paperwork. Teller says $10,000. Michelle deposits $9,500. Because nothing screams legitimate income like asking about reporting thresholds then hitting them exactly. The teller filed suspicious activity reports immediately. Standard procedure when someone in a mobile home suddenly has casino money. Michelle might as well have brought a sign saying, "I definitely didn't rob anything recently, please investigate thoroughly." The self-awareness of a brick with amnesia. Within weeks, the Chambers bought a $635,000 mansion in Kramer Mountain Country Club. Cash purchase. Previously, they lived in a mobile home that probably had wheels. Now they owned property with columns. The transition was subtle, as a firework in a library. They installed a $10,000 pool table, built a matching fence, bought a 1998 BMW Z3 convertible. Michelle got breast implants. They purchased $20,000 in premium cigars, then destroyed them by not adding water to the humidor. The cigars died of neglect. Even the money felt embarrassed. From October 6th through February 20th, they made 47 deposits, totaling $271,500. At Belmont Bank. In crumpled 20s, Michelle once tried getting a $200,000 bank check paid in cash. The bank probably considered calling mental health services alongside the FBI. They flew to New York on shopping sprees, bought furniture, jewelry, anything expensive within reach, all paid in cash. Those distinctive $20 bills from armored car companies. They left a paper trail brighter than airport runway lights. Subtlety was not their strength. The FBI noticed faster than spoiled milk. A confidential informant mentioned the Chambers' sudden wealth. Agents began surveillance, monitored calls, tracked spending. The investigation moved quicker than gossip in a small town. Within 24 days, they'd mapped the entire conspiracy. The thieves made it easy. In Cancun, Gantt noticed problems. No money arriving. Campbell never joined him. Chambers stopped answering calls. Paradise was feeling like exile with better weather. Something was deeply wrong. His criminal partners were ghosting him harder than a bad Tinder date. Chambers had watched too many mob movies. Decided sharing millions with Gantt was inefficient. His solution? Hire a hitman to murder Gantt in Mexico. Because adding homicide to robbery charges is excellent legal strategy. The decision-making process of a concussed hamster. The hitman was supposed to be professional, discreet, clean. Instead, he became another loose end. The FBI intercepted communications about the murder plot through wiretaps. Chambers somehow made his situation exponentially worse while thinking he was channeling Tony Soprano. Self-awareness remained zero. The FBI tracked Gantt to Playa del Carmen, arrested him at his hotel. He didn't resist, didn't run, just accepted handcuffs like someone who'd given up arguing with the universe. His tropical retirement lasted mere weeks. The criminal empire collapsed faster than a house of wet cards. February 1998. FBI raids across Charlotte. Simultaneous arrests. Steve Chambers, Michelle Chambers, Kelly Campbell, Eric Payne who joined late for 100 grand, Jeffrey Guller, the lawyer. 20 people total swept up. The dominoes fell with the grace of a drunk giraffe on ice. Evidence was overwhelming. Video footage, financial records, wiretaps, witness statements. The defendants basically documented their own crimes like amateur filmmakers. Building a defense would require arguing gravity doesn't exist. Everyone except one pleaded guilty immediately. Trials were formalities with predetermined outcomes. David Gantt received 7.5 years federal prison. Released November 2006. Served his full term. Later wrote a book about his catastrophic decisions. Became the cautionary tale nobody asked for, but everyone needed. His legacy was being professionally stupid. Steve Chambers got over 11 years. Michelle got her matching sentence. Kelly Campbell served substantial time. Others received varying years based on involvement levels. The justice system processed them efficiently. Assembly line punishment for assembly line stupidity. Nobody won, everyone paid. The FBI recovered 88% of stolen money. Over 15 million returned through seized assets. The abandoned van, the mansion, various cash stashes. Most of the loot came home. The thieves collectively netted maybe 2 million, split 20 ways before prison time. That's 100 grand per person before legal fees and life destruction. But here's the beautiful irony worthy of Greek tragedy. Courts ordered almost 19 million in restitution payments. The thieves owe more than they stole. Gantt personally owes 3.8 million. He's paid under 50,000. At current rates, he'll finish paying around the time the sun becomes a red giant. The Chambers owe millions. Most defendants are classified as uncollectible by federal government. They'll spend remaining lives with garnished wages and seized tax returns. The heist that promised wealth delivered permanent poverty with criminal records. Congratulations, everyone. You played yourselves spectacularly. The story became a 2016 comedy film called Masterminds. Zach Galifianakis played Gantt, Kristen Wiig was Campbell, Owen Wilson portrayed Chambers. It was hilarious because reality already provided the jokes. Hollywood just had to film them with better lighting and fewer federal crimes. Gantt attended the premiere. Watched actors recreate his life's biggest mistake for entertainment value. Probably the strangest experience since stealing millions on camera than getting arrested in paradise. At least he could laugh eventually, after 7 years contemplating choices in federal prison. The Loomis Fargo heist remains a masterclass in how to succeed and fail simultaneously. They executed a $17 million robbery flawlessly, then destroyed themselves through weapons-grade stupidity. Forgot cameras, abandoned millions, bought mansions immediately, paid in suspicious bills, ruined expensive cigars, hired hitmen, got caught in 24 days. They followed an instruction manual titled Federal Prison Any Percent Speedrun, with religious dedication. The FBI called it half-baked and half-brilliant. That's diplomatic. It was fully baked incompetence attached to a successful robbery. They proved stealing money is easy, not getting caught requires functioning brain cells. The lesson isn't that crime doesn't pay. Everyone knows that. The lesson is $17 million can't fix stupid. Money doesn't cure bad judgment. It just funds larger mistakes with federal consequences attached. These people had one job after the heist: act normal. They lasted less than a month. 24 days between robbery and handcuffs. Most streaming shows run longer than their criminal careers. Their legacy isn't the millions stolen. It's the millions abandoned, the mansion bought instantly, the cigars ruined through ignorance, and the murder plot that made everything worse. David Gantt wanted adventure. Escape from $8 hourly wages. He got federal prison, eternal debt, and a comedy movie. Sometimes the universe teaches lessons through catastrophic failure. Sometimes those lessons cost $17 million and 7 years of freedom. The tuition was expensive, but the education was permanent. The vault Gantt robbed doesn't exist anymore. Building is a warehouse now. Money was recovered. Criminals served time. But the story lives forever as proof that ambition without intelligence, planning without foresight, and wealth without wisdom create spectacular disasters. They're the patron saints of bad decisions. 20 people involved. 8 direct participants. 12 accomplices. All convicted, all paying restitution forever. Living proof that crime pays in prison time, garnished wages, and permanent regret. The exchange rate is terrible. The interest compounds daily. Don't rob banks.